is Sonia. I've got Jordan and Colin here with me as well. We worked on iPower 2.0, so at the Dallas Hackathon, as Damon was saying, we started this process, had some challenges, and wanted to take another crack at it. So the main problem is during construction, it's very important to know what electrical equipment feeds in order to work safely. So when you're actually on the project, walking around, mainly the tradesmen on the front end and facilities as well on the back end, you want to be able to go up to a panel and have an idea of what's going on there. I mean, normally you go through the plans, you find out, okay, this panel is being fed from the source, and then you have to go to that source. The goal here was to add a layer of safety, to create a tool where when you're looking at that panel, one more check to make sure that you're being safe before you're doing anything in there, because the electrical systems are the most dangerous on the job site. There's just so much power, it can be a real challenge. The goal, extract electrical panel information and relationships from Revit using a smarter Revit file, and then use that information to create a database, make that database into a user-friendly field tool for anyone physically accessing the panel or piece of equipment downstream. So this is just an example. In some cases, we have to go through by hand and create these spreadsheets of all this information just to see it all in one place. This is just a lineup of the main electrical source and then everything downstream of it. Thousands of rows of data. It'll take days to do this. Huge, huge time constraint, and then you're constantly updating that information as well.
And so just to give you a quick genesis about that, we had a guy on our job site that he created the spreadsheet. He spent a long time creating it, and we're like, this isn't going to work. We need something better. So our approach here today, or this weekend rather, we wanted to create a database utilizing a Revit file, extract that information from Revit and put it into a database. We also looked at our existing code that we had used at our last hack, and we wanted to kind of repurpose it or port it. And then, I guess our main goal with this was to add a QR code scanning feature to all of this. And so we were able to do that with the help of Colin, which is awesome, and we'll show you that here in a little bit. So just quickly to talk about the data extraction. In an ideal situation, the designers would have a smart Revit model, a Revit file, and you can extract that information through an ODBC database, and you can utilize the ties that are already built into that file. So that's what we essentially did. There also might be a situation where that Revit model is incomplete or doesn't have that relational information that you want. And so we recognize that as a, I guess, limit to all of this.
So this was the sample Revit file that we got from Autodesk. It's very basic, but it has those relationships, the connections between the different panels, and really a basic snapshot of what we were trying to achieve. We were able to extract this information that we needed, so saving that time on the front end with all the inputting of a database, and we were able to get this spreadsheet as an output from Revit. So from that, we were able to find columns that had the relevant information showing, okay, this panel is being fed from this source, and what's downstream of that panel. So if I turn off this panel, what am I affecting downstream? I'm turning off a air conditioning unit, HVAC, whatever systems might be in play. And we'll just go ahead and show it to you now.
Let's try that. Take a minute to refill.
I think you plugged into the wrong one.
Which one should I use?
Yep, unplug that one.
process, please.
So we have QR codes that would be placed on any of the panels in a job site. The QR codes are just URLs. They're specifically simple routes that you would have off of a base, just to the server. And so if someone was to go and scan this, it would hit your server with a simple route, and you get a page like this, which would show you your upstream and also your downstream. And each of these are navigatable, and this is all populated automatically from the database. So if you updated the database, all of this would change automatically. Oh, yeah, so the panel schedule is also a link that comes from the database, so you'd have, this is the sort of information that they'd have to go and look up on a daily basis, go back to the books, move from wherever they are, but now you can just kind of have it at the site where you need it. So.
You know, it's great to have that at your fingertips, and that's just one of the things we kind of added in. We said that would be great, you know, an added plus to have all those documents right there at your fingertips for that piece of gear, that panel, or that piece of equipment. So it's a great feature that Colin was able to figure out how to add, and greatly appreciate the help. Absolutely.
And part of the fun of having QR codes that are just URLs is that you can change the whole backend. You can change whatever data you want stuff to represent. So say if you're on a job site and you're doing construction, the kind of data that you want to see for each of these locations would be different than someone in maintenance. So you could change that out after the fact without changing any of your actual infrastructure, which was part of the design.
You really set us up well.
Just got to resend. Oh, just kidding.
There you go.
Yeah, so as you can see there, we had you know, the QR code. As Colin was saying, you could just put that on any piece of equipment. We just have two examples here, and you can just scan it, and immediately it'll pull that kind of GUI, that graphical interface up for you and show you everything downstream, what's upstream, any documents you attach. You know, it's always important to test before you touch in any scenario with electrical equipment. So, you know, this doesn't bypass any of those lockout, tagout procedures or other safety procedures. It's just an added tool to help you be a little safer. So, wanted to make that statement. Earlier I talked about a couple one failure point. So again, just kind of harp on that. You know, Revit model may be incomplete. Might not have all those relationships that we could see there in that graphical interface. So we recognize that. Also, tradesmen just not having access to smartphones or smart devices. Incorrect labels on equipment or drawings, which is commonplace, or items not being installed per the plans. So a couple areas for future growth. You know, maybe incorporating that lockout, tagout process into the app itself. Right now there's, I mean, some lockout, tagout procedures are manualistic. It's just a very lengthy process, and for obvious reasons, but if we could somehow incorporate that into the app, we think that'd be an added benefit to it. In addition to adding some more documentation, such as SCAF study documents on that specific piece of equipment, power, status power, you know, whether it's on or off. Commissioning folks or facilities management folks could also utilize this app as well. And with that, that's it. So thank you, and we wanted to thank everybody, DPR especially for hosting, Damon, everyone else, the judges for coming out and making this happen. So thank you.
Questions from the judges?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Do you need an internet connection for this to work?
Not necessarily. It's URLs, so you could have a local server where it's presenting a web interface, but you don't actually hit the actual internet. So like,
So the screen that you were showing was just a simple web page?
it's being served from my laptop over there
Yeah,
right now.
there's a local network he created that I connected to. I could have put my phone in airplane mode and I still could have connected to it. And it's a really cool feature that Colin thought of. You know, we were struggling with how to get that out to the people, and he said, you know, you could have a small little computer on your job site in your building just broadcasting that local network, and all the tradesmen could just connect to that, and all that information is there, posted on that device. So
all the data he says in Reddit, I'm sorry, not Reddit, Revit. So to set it up for when you do a URL hit to do that query on the database, do you have some schedule where you're constantly updating the output on the query?
That would be an update from them. We're not actually hitting a database.
Right, so we didn't actually create a database with this, we just extracted the information and put it into a CSV file basically, and he's pulling that information from the CSV file.
Okay, so you generate a flat file
Right now.
off the Revit model?
Yeah.
Okay, so then every time there's a change to Revit model, you need to update the flat file, and you need to push it out
Yep.
to your satellite site.
Yeah,
Okay.
but this could also hit a database.
Yeah, and that's what we were saying, like, that would be the ideal next step, would just to get it in the database, so it's continually being updated and pulling from that.
So you mentioned this is a previous hackathon in Texas, right?
Yeah.
So how much of this did you work on this weekend?
We spent a good amount of time trying to get the previous code to build, so I rewrote the whole thing in Clojure.
Yeah.
This is fresh rewrite.
We were very challenged by
Okay.
that. So we had someone amazing that worked with us out there and got us to a really good starting point, but I think this is a better jumping off point now.
So it's pretty much continuation of the idea. that you
Yes,
guys
mainly the
did
idea,
all the work.
all the codes new.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the codes new, and we tried going the database route originally, and it kind of worked, but it was also very complex. So I think we simplified it, Colin stepped in and really just knocked it out, it was amazing, so.
So a majority of the work this weekend was in Revit or setting up URL codes?
Playing with various database systems, we took a look at the BIM server, which is another open source platform for this, but it's also incredibly hard to work with.
So maybe on the code, not so much in Revit.
Okay.
Yes, is the publisher code is open source?
I'm going to as soon as we're done.
Yeah, we'll get the link to Damon to GitHub. So.
Good job, Chris.
Was there any other open source file formats that you mentioned, CSV files and BIM source, right?
Yeah, it's just those, I mean, this is Clojure and Bootstrap, basically. And so it's all MIT licensed or EPL.
That's why he helped us so much.
Again, he was an amazing asset, so
Yeah,
kudos to him for sure.
yeah, especially for sharing his time between both teams.
Yeah.
All right, on. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.